Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now yesterday it was announced that both Romain, Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen will be leaving Haas at the end of this season, and so as a result, the team is now looking for a whole new driver pairing. But what are the options available to Haas? Well, firstly, and if we believe the reports, probably the most likely to grab one of the available seats is Nikita Mazepin. It has been rumoured for a while now that Dimitri Mazepin, which is Nikita's father, has been in talks with Haas over a seat for his son, as well as perhaps investing in the team, although it should be said that Gunther Steiner has recently stated the team is not for sale. Either way, Mazepin comes with a huge financial backing, and that is something that will likely appeal to Haas as the team tries to build for the mid to long term. Now, it has to be said as well that this year Mazepin has enjoyed his best season since he finished runner-up in GP3 back in 2018, and has won 2 Formula 2 races in 2020, making it to the podium a total of 5 times, and currently sits 6th in the drivers' standings. As of right now, it appears as though the only potential stumbling block that could prevent this deal from going through is whether Mazepin can secure a super licence. The Russian currently has 32 of the required 40 points, and so needs to finish at least 7th in the championship to qualify. However, the FIA has changed the requirements for obtaining a super licence, and drivers can now qualify for one if they have at least 30 points and are judged at the sole determination of the FIA as unable to qualify normally due to circumstances outside of their control. So even if he didn't hit that 40-point mark this season, he could still get a licence if the FIA approve it. Mick Schumacher has also emerged as one of the favourites to fill one of those Haas seats next year. The German has been constantly linked with a drive at Alfa Romeo, but it is now believed that Ferrari would prefer to place him at Haas, with racefans.net claiming that due to the commercial pressures from Ferrari's current poor performance, Ferrari is likely to offer Schumacher to Haas, giving them a big name to use for sponsorship purposes. Basically giving Haas a bit more cash, and that, along with Mazepin's money, could help to stabilise the team and set it up for the future. Now, you might think that all sounds a little bit unlikely initially, but Gunther Steiner has recently said that he would not be against the idea of Schumacher racing for the team next season, and has insisted it is up to Ferrari where they place their drivers. Suddenly, it sounds as though that RaceFans article might hold some sort of truth. And that is not even to mention the obvious speed and talent that Schumacher has, and he is looking in very good shape to take that F2 title this season. Not all about Ferrari, the kid is clearly talented. There is also the possibility that Ferrari may still put Schumacher alongside Raikkonen at Alfa Romeo next season, assuming the Finn stays for another year, with talk that Antonio Giovinazzi could move to Haas instead, which is a move that might actually work out quite well for them, because by the start of the 2021 season, Giovinazzi will have 2 full seasons of F1 experience under his belt, and so will balance out some of that inexperience that a rookie would bring. He is also still a Ferrari driver, and so that keeps the relationship between Haas and the Scuderia tight. Sergio Perez and Nico Hülkenberg have also both heavily been linked with a move to the American team. However, over the last week or so, the rumours around Perez have shifted, and the Mexican is now allegedly in talks with Williams over a 2021 drive that could see George Russell ousted from the team, despite being confirmed for next season back in the summer. But I'll talk a little bit more on that rumour over the weekend. This one is about Haas. The point is, Perez to Haas looked absolutely nailed on a couple of weeks back, but it's now actually looking more likely he will not sign with the team next season. But something else worth to mention at this point while we're talking about Perez, Helmut Marko has put his name forward as a contender to be Max Verstappen's teammate next year, so put yourself in Checo's shoes. If there is even the slightest chance you could end up with a Red Bull drive, why would you commit to another team right now? It is probably best to let this all play out and make a call later down the line. That said, he won't want to wait too long, as seats could fill up fast and he might end up with absolutely nothing. As for Hülkenberg, Steiner has said that talks between Haas and Nico have not started, but this rumour is one that just will not go away. In fact, it's a rumour that started last year. Hülkenberg is a quick, experienced and well-respected driver, and so it is natural that teams will consider him. The problem is, he will command a salary. Sure, he may take a bit of a pay cut, but Haas will still have to pay him something, and he doesn't have the financial backing that, say, a Mazepin or Perez has. And the thing is, if Haas really is looking to stabilise the team financially, paying a salary is not something they are likely to want to do. But at the same time, can they really afford to go with 2 rookies? Then again, Steiner has been clear that the team is looking to the mid to long term, and so the idea of Perez and or Hülkenberg perhaps doesn't fit that plan either. Another name linked to a Haas driver is Robert Schwartzman. He is highly regarded by Ferrari and has had a very good season in Formula 2, although, as I've said before, he has been a little bit inconsistent at times, and so it might be a year too soon for him. I can't help but feel that another year in F2 is the way that Ferrari should go for Schwartzman. The Russian is, though, set to take to the track in an F1 car later this year at the Young Driver Test in Abu Dhabi, so if he impresses there, he might well find himself in line for a seat. Callum Ilott, he currently sits second in the F2 driver standings and is in with a real shot of winning the title. Looking forward to that fight in Bahrain. And he has been linked with the team a lot, and at one stage it was looking likely he would sign for them. However, it has been confirmed by Gunther Steiner that Ilott is, for whatever reason, not on the list of potential drivers the team is looking at. Quite baffling when you consider some of the names on the list, but also how good a season he has had. But the thing is, this is nothing new. F1 is cutthroat and not everyone who perhaps deserves a chance is given that chance. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. It's the same problem we often discuss. Too many drivers, not enough seats. It is, I suppose, worth mentioning Louis Delatraz and Pietro Fittipaldi. Both, of course, are Haas test drivers. But in all honesty, I would be shocked to see either of these in one of those cars next year. They are both talented drivers, no doubt about that. I'm not debating that for a second. But with the likes of all of those available that I've already mentioned, people like Perez and Hülkenberg, Schwartzman, Schumacher, Ilott, I can't see how these two will be high on the list of priorities for Haas. So they are some of the options. I'm sure you guys can come up with many more. But who do I think Haas will take on for 2021? Well, when I did my driver lineup predictions video a few weeks back, I was so confident about Perez and Ilott. In fact, I'd probably say out of all of the combinations I put forward, that was the one I was most confident on. It just all seemed at the time to be pointing in that direction. But so much has changed since then. I'm actually going to give you two predictions though, what I would like to see happen and what I think will happen. Firstly, if it was 100% up to me out of all of the drivers I've mentioned, I'd go for Perez and Schumacher. You'd have one massively experienced driver for the consistency and for getting the job done, and one rookie to work with for the future. Sure, Ilott would be in the frame and so would Hülkenberg, but given what we've seen Checo can do over the years, personally I would take him over Hülkenberg, but frankly I'd take either. He also brings big sponsorship with him, does Checo, and when it comes to Schumacher, the Ferrari ties are there and could get stronger between Haas and Ferrari, and all of that would benefit the team massively. However, that is unfortunately not what I think will happen. Right now, Nikita Mazepin looks like he is in one of those seats for next year. Now, I'm not going to go in on Mazepin like many will. Frankly, we don't know what he can do in an F1 car. He might hop in at Haas and deliver. He might also be an absolute disaster. We just don't know, and like I did with Lance Stroll, I'll wait and see how he does first. What I will say though is if you think he is in the running for that seat based on pure talent, good for you. In my opinion, it is quite obvious the only reason he's likely to land that seat now is all down to the money he brings. And I know, before it's said, paid drivers have always been a thing in Formula 1, which, to be fair, they have, but we seem to be in a new era of literally buying seats and teams. And that is not a shot at Mazepin, it's not a shot at Stroll, it's not a shot at the teams. If you want to take it as a criticism of anybody, it should be Formula 1 and the wider problem. Teams like Williams and Haas have to take these paid drivers who have got 50 million a year. They've got to take that money to help them survive. I know we've got the cost cap coming in, but cost cap or not, $135 million is still a hell of a lot of money. And let's take Williams as an example. They're not going to get anywhere near that $135 million. So if they're struggling to find the money to have some sort of decent budget now, that isn't going to change with a cost cap. They're not spending upwards of 135 million. They're probably spending maybe half of that. They've still got to find that money next year. And if you can bring in an okay driver who offers up 30, 40, 50, even 20 million a year, of course you're going to take it because that's some of that budget sorted. Anyway, what Mazepin needs to do, assuming he does sign for Haas, is get his head down and focus on performing. Show everyone he is more than just a pay driver. As for that second seat, I'm not really sure, to be honest. It seems odd to me that Perez or Hülkenberg are almost becoming outsiders for it, but I kind of get what Steiner is aiming for when he talks about the long term, the bigger picture. If I were to put money on it today, though, I would probably say Mick Schumacher alongside Mazepin for 21. What I will add, though, is that if Perez replaces Russell, teams with seats available might give him a chance, especially if Mercedes was to come along with a bit of money to sweeten the deal. This whole Perez-Russell thing, again, which I'll talk about more over the weekend, could really throw another curveball into what has already been a bit of a chaotic driver market. But also, if the Mazepin family do buy Haas, as unlikely as that may seem right now, I wouldn't bet against an all-Russian lineup of Mazepin and Schwartzman, but again, I'll go with Schumacher as of today and at time of recording and all of that, and as I said earlier, that makes sense if Haas is looking to strengthen ties with Ferrari. This feels as good a point as any to slide in with something else. So since recording all of that other waffle, Romain Grosjean has said in the driver's press conference that he was told by Haas that the reason the team have dropped both Magnussen and Grosjean is due to financial reasons. So maybe there is still hope, if you like, for Perez at Haas. After all, as I said earlier in this video, that sponsorship from him and the Mazepin family money could set the team up very nicely for the future. But what do you guys think? You can let me know your thoughts on which two drivers you think Haas will be picking for 2021 down in the comment section. That is it for this video then, but I will be back tomorrow for the qualifying watch along live about half an hour before the session starts. But in the meantime, don't forget that you can of course follow me over on social media, and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.